Hi everyone, I'm Guillermo Perez, a senior research analyst at the Comparative Constitutions Project. Today I'm excited to introduce you to our constitution comparison tool, developed as part of the Concept Integration Lab. When we compare constitutions, important patterns are often missed by traditional methods. We often ask, do two constitutions share similar language, or do they simply address similar topics? Are constitutional drafters directly copying text, or are they converging around similar ideas that are expressed in different ways? This tool is designed to answer those questions by measuring constitutional similarity along two distinct dimensions: textual alignment and thematic alignment. Together, these approaches provide a more complete picture of how constitutions relate to one another. In simple terms, textual alignments allow us to compare language directly, specific words or phrases. High similarity here means that the text itself is closely related. Thematic alignment, by contrast, asks whether constitutions emphasize the same topic, regardless of how these topics are written. Here we are comparing constitutional agendas or constitutional priorities rather than the specific language. Our first method measures textual alignment using semantic embeddings and kernel density estimations, or KDE. For each pair of constitutions, we create a similarity matrix. Imagine Constitution A has 500 segments and Constitution B has 600 segments. We compute the semantic similarity between every segment in Constitution A and in every segment in Constitution B. Then, for each segment in Constitution A, we find its most similar segment in Constitution B, and vice versa. This gives us a distribution of similarity scores. We use kernel density estimation because it offers several advantages. First is its distribution as agnostic. We don't assume our data follows a normal distribution or any other specific pattern. Second, it enables fair comparisons. A short constitution with consistently high matches can be properly compared to a much longer constitution. Third, we can perform mathematical operations. By integrating under the right tail of the distribution, we can quantify exactly how much textual similarity exists between two constitutions that we are analyzing in a specific moment. And our semantic alignment metric A is simply the probability that a similarity score falls within our high similarity interval. Let me break this down. We set an integral limit, that's the lower threshold, the value of A, and think of it as drawing a line and saying we only count similarities above this point. For this analysis, we are focusing on the high similarity region, scores that indicate genuine constitutional alignments, not just random overlap. The integral value itself is just the area under the curve within that region. A larger area means more constitutional segments have high similarity, indicating greater overall alignment between the two constitutions. One of the most interesting patterns we observe here is bimodality, when the KDE curve has two different peaks. Imagine you are looking at a graph, and instead of the classic one smooth hill we see on different graphs, you see these two bumps. In this case, for example, you can see that one bump might be around 0.6 similarity and another around 0.9 similarity. This tells a specific story. Some segments of the Constitution have moderate similarity, so they have been reformed, rewritten, or updated, but other segments have very high similarity. They've been copied nearly word for word from the earlier text. Do you notice how the curve extends to the right toward higher similarity scores? We call this a long right-hand tail. It means there's a substantial number of segments with very high similarity. This is evidence of direct textual borrowing or minimal modification. These patterns often indicates a conservative drafting strategy, preserving some provisions while reforming others. And it reveals political compromises and evolutionary reform approaches. Drafters saying we will keep these parts untouched, but we will change these parts. We will come back to this graph later, but let's go right now to the thematic alignment. While textual alignment measures linguistic similarity, our second method isolates the thematic dimension. For this method, we start with the CCP ontology, a comprehensive set of constitutional topics, and for each constitution, we compute the semantic similarities between these predefined topics and every segment of constitutional text. Here's the key. For each segment, we only keep the top K topics with the highest similarity scores. This prevents weak associations from homogenizing the constitution's topic profile. Think of it as a noise reduction. We then sum across all segments and normalize to create a topic profile, essentially a fingerprint showing which topics each constitution emphasizes. To compare two constitutions, we use vector similarity metrics, Pearson correlation, and cosine similarity. This gives us a single value indicating how aligned two constitutions are in their topic priorities. A constitution, for example, heavily on indigenous rights, environmental protection, or plurinationality, will have a very different topic profile from another one emphasizing individual rights, property protections, or institutional stability. Now I will show you the results of the application of these tools through an analysis that we made with concrete constitutional texts. Chile's recent constitutional struggles offer a unique opportunity to study constitutional evolution and reform failure. We've also included in this analysis two comparative cases representing the new Latin American constitutionalism movement, Ecuador and Bolivia. The three conservative Chilean constitution, the current constitution of 2021-1980, the constitutional draft of 2018, and the constitutional draft of 2023, show striking similarities. Let's go with the textual similarities, with the textual alignment. You can see here in the bar chart, this three pairwise comparison produced the three largest integral values in our entire analysis. You have to remember that larger integral values mean more text segments have high similarity scores. That's really important to remember. And if you can see here, Chile 2021, that's the current constitution with the draft of 2018, current constitution with the draft of 2023, and the draft of 2018 with the draft of 2023. And the heat map show the same pattern with its color and intensity. This makes sense because they all reflect the continuity within Chile's constitutional and institutional framework. Now, with the PDF distributions, we can see something similar. And we can see the long right-hand tails with varying degrees of bimodality I described earlier. The Chile's 2021-2018, that's the yellow line, has two particularly clear peaks. One group of segments with moderate change and another with minimal changes. That's the conservative drafting strategy in action that I described earlier. And now we can see the comparison with Bolivia and Ecuador, because we also use this constitutional comparison tool to examine how the Chilean constitution relate to Ecuador and Bolivia, both flagship examples of the new Latin American constitutionalism. And the results are revealing, because while the current Chilean constitution and the 2018 draft do show some areas of overlap, the overall alignment is quite low. And the differences reflect fundamentally different constitutional projects. The Chilean conservative constitutions promote a traditional liberal constitutional model, while the Bolivia's and Ecuador constitutions promote indigenous constitutionalism. They seek to redefine the relationships among the state, the society, the nature, incorporating plurinationality, collective rights, and constitutionalized social transformation. So there are a lot of differences between the two kinds of constitutions, and they are reflected in these different results. Now we can see the segment similarity results. If you see these results, they are theoretically coherent, because we can see the current constitutions show high similarity with the 2018 draft since it preserves the same institutional structure. The highest similarity segments are between those two constitutions. And this makes sense historically because during that period, between 2018 and 2021, there was little political momentum for constitutional change. So any modifications were modest rather than transformative. Now we can talk about the topic similarity or the thematic alignment part of the analysis. The thematic similarity results align with the expectations too. There's a robust correlation of thematic content between the 2021 and 2018 constitutions given their shared structural design. For instance, both constitutions emphasize similar topics around executive power, legislative procedures, judicial independence. They both dedicate substantial attention to property rights, economic freedom. Their approaches to fundamental rights followed similar organizational patterns. However, for example, the 2023 draft incorporated a broader thematic scope than the current constitution because it responded to new social and political demands that emerged from Chile's 2019 social uprising. These demands, topics like social right expansion, environmental protections, gender equality, were first introduced in the 2022 constitutional process, and they were retained and reformulated in the 2023 debates, expanding the range of the issues the constitutions addressed, even within a conservative framework. That's the reason that explain the similarity between the draft of the 2022, a progressive draft, and a conservative draft of 2023 in the topic profile cosine similarities, for example, or in the topic profile correlations. Now, the real power comes from using both methods together. Let me show you what different patterns can reveal here. For example, when we see high thematic alignment but only moderate textual alignment, this tells us two constitutions prioritize the same topics but express them in different language. In this case, for example, the drafters adopted similar frameworks but craft original constitutional language. This is conceptual convergence. In the second case, when textual similarity is moderate but thematic similarity is lower, the constitutions share constitutional boilerplate that formulate language but differ in their substantive priorities. The topic method helps us filter out this noise. In the third case, when both measures are high, we see genuine textual borrowing with topic overlap, a strong alignment on both dimensions. This is exactly the case of the three conservative Chilean constitutions. This is exactly the case when they are both high. And in the fourth pattern, both low, we are looking at fundamentally different constitutional projects. This tool has broad applications for constitutional research. We can use it in constitutional drafting, for example, understanding which provisions are borrowed versus innovated. We can use it in reform analysis, in comparative constitutionalism. We can use it in political science, for example, to reveal the strategies and compromises in constitutional design. We can use it in legal scholarship, for example, to analyze the diffusion of constitutional ideas across jurisdictions. This constitutional comparison tool is designed to be flexible. You can apply these methods to any set of constitutional texts, adjust the parameters for your research questions, and export the results for further analysis. So if you're interested in using the constitution comparison tool for your research, you can access it through our GitHub repository. The link is in the description below. It's also here in the presentation. The installation of the document is really easy. You can do it in the GitHub. Here you can see all the instructions to install the tool. And if you have any questions or any issue We provide active support through GitHub issues, so just open an issue and we'll help you out. And we are committed to making sophisticated constitutional analysis accessible to researchers worldwide. So you can also visit the Comparative Constitutions Project website for more information about our broader research initiative. We are launching this Sartori network where we are having all these tools together: the constitutional comparison tool, the segment as topic tool, the ontology corpus comparison tool, and the speaker assignment tool. So you can visit our website at Comparative Constitutions Project, our GitHub, this Sartori network that you can access through tools in the website of the Comparative Constitutions Project. And you're invited to download this tool and participate in this travel to new tools of NLP. And you can contact me to my email here if you have any questions or issue with your tool, and I can give you a help with anything you need. So thank you very much for your patience and for look at this video, and see you soon.